Good evening, everyone, and I heartily welcome all of you to today's session. What are the session objectives for today? Together, we are aiming at knowing all the important points which are mentioned in the National Education Policy 2020. That's our first objective. Then clarifying the doubts which may have regarding any of the points. And also one more aim is to share the National Education Policy information with the other colleagues, staff and relevant people. And for that, what I'm going to do is I will be sharing this PPT. I'll also be sharing the recording of this presentation. So anything which you want, you can make use of. Now there's a disclaimer. First thing, that all the information which is there in this PPT has been taken from the proper document which is issued by MHRD, now the Ministry of Education, which was meant for final circulation. Also, there has been some information which is taken from the graphics which were based on it, and the media releases and all the press releases which were addressed by the government officials. So these are the sources for putting up this PPT. Now, before we go ahead, let's have a look at what is the history of the education policies so far. The first education policy was formulated in 1968, and that was during the time of Indira Gandhi, and that was by on the recommendations of the commission which was headed by Dr. D.S. Kothari. And after that, the second education policy came in 1986 during Rajiv Gandhi's time. And after this is the new 2020 is the next education policy which has come. However, this policy in 1986 was modified in 1992. So, in fact, it's almost after 34 years that the country has got a new education policy. Now, this was drafted by the committee which was led by the former ISRO chairman K. Kasturi Rangan. I once again request everybody that if you have more information anywhere where you feel you can chip in, do please feel free to put in information over here. We are all learning from each other. Then this was created after consultation with parents, students, education specialists, academicians, central and state education bodies, state ministries, and around 1,25,000 gram samitis. And then this first draft was released in 2019 for public opinion, and it received around 2,25,000 suggestions. So reviewing those suggestions, there were changes which were made in the first draft, and the final policy was out. So let's just see that what are the basic principles of this policy. The policy has a lot of flexibility. It allows flexibility for the educational institutions, to some extent to schools, but to a very, very large extent to the universities. So the flexibility is there. And then it also says that things are going to be multidisciplinary, not hard bound. There shouldn't be any hard separations between science, commerce, humanities, and other streams. There should be a lot of formative assessment for learning. There should be respect for diversity and respect for the local context. A lot has been done for local context over here. And there will be substantial investment in public education system. Then the principles are also on life skills, on conceptual understanding of any subject, creativity, critical thinking, equity and inclusion, teachers and faculty as the heart of learning process. A lot has been done for teachers in this education policy. In fact, proposed, I can say. We can't say that they have already done it. Ethics and human and constitutional values is another thing which is the principle behind which this policy is framed. Then integrity and transparency. So here the governance has been to a large extent left in case of higher education institutions to the institutions itself, but there is a regulatory body which is going to oversee everything. There is huge amount of autonomy, and good governance is something which it proposes. Empowerment and research is something which has been really emphasized in this policy. Continuous policy making, not that this policy has been framed, it will not be revised. There are plans for revising this policy very, very quickly because the times are changing quickly. And then to realize that education is a public service, so it was also talking about non-commercialization of education. So these are the basic principles on which this policy is framed. So what is the vision the background in which this vision has been framed is that India in the next decade will have the highest youth population. So it is absolutely important for us to give the right kind of educational opportunities to them, so that we become the world leader in skilled human resources. Then rapid changes in the knowledge landscape with the rise of big data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, because the knowledge landscape is changing so quickly. So therefore, this is also kept in mind. And then quickly changing the employment and global ecosystem. The employment system globally is changing very, very fast. So it's important that our children are not just learning, they are learning how to learn. So this is the skill which is overemphasized in this policy. They should know how to learn. Then the education policy must also reinstate teachers at all levels as the most respected and essential members of the society. So this has been reiterated many times in the education policy to reinstate the respect of the teachers. The new education policy also is talking about recruiting the very best and the brightest in this profession. So the education policy aims at building a global best education system. So we are already talking about the global best education system, which is rooted in Indian ethos. It is aligned with all the principles which were mentioned in the previous slide, so that the India gets transformed into a global knowledge superpower. So this is the vision of this policy. Now let's straight away get into the school education. So this is something which I believe everybody has seen it. The infographics were widely circulated, so I don't think I have to explain much. Previously, the system is 10 plus 2, was 10 plus 2, and now the proposed system is that there will be 4 stages: foundational, preparatory, middle, and secondary. The foundational stage is something wherein there will be 3 years. From age 3 years till age 6 years, there will be 3 years of preschool. Okay, and then after that there will be class 1 and 2 for 2 years, and this together is going to be known as foundational. And then 3rd, 4th, and 5th will be preparatory, 6, 7, and 8 will be middle, and 9, 10, 11, 12 will be secondary. Now, why these divisions are there? Divisions because there will be assessment after every stage. After the foundational stage, there will be assessment by the state, then preparatory, then middle, and secondary. After secondary stage, of course, the board, the national board examination will be there, right? So these are the 4 stages which have been created. Now we'll be talking about the early childhood care education, also known as ECCE. Now here it says that the provision for ECCE for all the children who are entering class 1 should be achieved by 2030. In the entire country, all the children have to undergo the ECCE education. By 2030 it has to be achieved, which means 100% gross enrollment should be there. Then NCRT is going to be preparing a pedagogical framework for ECCE, and it will be doing it in 2 parts, for 0 to 3 years and from 3 to 8 years. So this will be created by NCRT. NCRT has already published one preschool curriculum which is there, but probably it will be modified now. So the kind of institutions which we are talking about for ECCE are standalone Anganwadis. So these are governmental organizations, and then Anganwadis which are co-located with the primary schools, pre-primary schools, and the sections which are covering at least till 5 to 6 years, and those who are existing along with the primary schools. Also standalone preschools will be a part of the ECCE education. And then there are ashram shalas. These are for tribal dominated areas. These are residential schools kind of a thing, known as ashram shalas for the tribal students. So that's about ECCE. And how is it that we have to be actually employing and recruiting people for this position? Especially now, this is largely told for the government organizations, that these teachers who are there, if their qualification is 10 plus 2, then they have to undergo 6-year certificate program. This is initially, right now, when there is not much existing program which is there. And then lower qualification will be If the if the teachers are not even 10+2, then they have to undergo a 1-year diploma course for getting trained in ECC. So this is something which is mandatory now. Now in this, it's the NCERT which is going to be preparing the curriculum. It will be based on the national and international best practices. So ECC, I think to a large extent they are going to take from outside the pedagogy, and these are the things which should be included while they are doing while you're doing ECC. So that the content is also mentioned over here. Along with that, it is proposed that as the children move to class 1, there will be a 3-month play-based preparation module which will be there for grade 1. Every grade 1 child will be there, so that in case if their children are coming from some such organization where the ECC thing was not done very properly, then this 3-month module is something which is going to help them, and the school students will be becoming school ready. So this particular 3-month program will be again developed by NCERT. Now ECCE will be taken care of by the Ministry of HRD, Women and Child Development, Health and Family Welfare and Tribal Affairs. So 4 of these institutions together will be there to take care of ECC. Now next thing about the early childhood education is, these are the things, the focus for ECCE will be, apart from these things like color, shapes, alphabets and numbers. While we are teaching all of this, we can integrate relationship with nature, art, craft, music, logical thinking and problem solving. See, they've not left logical thinking and problem solving. It's there very integrally fit inside the ECC system. Then developing curiosity, teamwork, collaboration, all of this will be a part of the ECC program, and it will be all play based. Now the second focus which this policy has is on foundational literacy and numeracy. Now the research, in fact the survey, not the research, survey has shown that 5 crore students who are there in the elementary school, they have not attained the foundation literacy and numeracy. And when we are saying the foundation literacy and numeracy, means reading, comprehension, basic writing, basic operations in mathematics. So 5 crore students do not have these basic skills in literacy and numeracy. So this is one of the biggest thing. So there's a lot of emphasis in educational policy on literacy and numeracy, because if we don't do anything, then we are losing these children to illiteracy. And then highest priority of the education system will be to achieve universal foundation literacy and numeracy in the primary school by 2025. And that's the entire reason that there is this at the level of grade 3, there is an examination which has been introduced so as to check whether the children are, where are they on these foundational skills. Then the teacher education and the early grade school curriculum will be redesigned to have renewed emphasis on foundation. There is a lot of work which will be done in literacy and numeracy. There will be high quality resources. National repository of high quality resources on literacy and numeracy will be there on the National Teachers Portal, which will be available for everybody. So this will be developed. And then there will be technological interventions in it. A lot is in this policy. We are talking about using apps, using online courses, using games, puzzles. So this, I think there will be a lot of such things which will be coming up, which will help or aid in developing or achieving the foundational skills for literacy and numeracy. Then there will be public and school libraries which will be expanded, and also there will be digital libraries which will be encouraged in all these public and school libraries. So these are some of the things which are proposed under literacy and numeracy. Another thing which is there is to curtail the dropout rates at all levels. Now the gross enrollment ratio for grades 6 to 8 was found to be 90.7%, which I feel is very encouraging. 90.7%, but as the children move to 9 to 10, it becomes 79.3%. So you can see the dropout. And then from 11 to 12, it remains only 51.3%. So which means that the dropout ratio is quite a lot. So here, this Institute of Statistics, UNESCO Institute of Statistics had estimated 6.2 crore children of school age 6 to 18 years, they were out of school in 2013. 6.2 crore students were out of school. So the goal is to achieve 100% enrollment by 2035, which is like we still have 15 years. 15 years are there to achieve this 100% ratio. The solutions which it is suggesting is to, of course, expand the existing infrastructure, to remediate those people who have dropped out of the school, do remediation for them, and also to allow re-entry inside these schools at all levels. Then NIOS as well as SIOS, which means that the State Institute of Open School will be developed on the lines of NIOS. And alternative models of education will also be recognized, like Gurukuls, Pathshalas, Madarsas, and homeschooling systems. And also the norms for schools will be made less restrictive. This is a good news. That when you want to open a new school or now, the kind of norms which will be there will be less restrictive in nature. In fact, this is what has been suggested for higher education also, that norms are not going to be too binding on the institutions, but what is binding is some of the statistics which they have to definitely disclose for public. And I'll be discussing about what is that statistics. Along with that, what is the student outcome? So the students' learning outcomes and the students' achievement. So every institution will be held accountable for the students' achievement. Instead of making the norms for accreditation very difficult, and the accountability now is on the student achievement. So this is going to become less restrictive. Then pedagogical transition between various stages. Foundational is all play-based, and then behavior, hygiene, cleanliness. Then preparatory moves to slightly more formal but interactive form of learning. Light textbooks will be there. And then there will be, of course, there will be subjects like physical education, art, language, science, and mathematics, which will be there from class 3 to 5. As they move further, there will be subject teachers who will be introduced. There will be more discussion on abstract concepts of science, maths, arts, and everything. So there is a change over here, and it is more curiosity driven. And as we move on to the secondary, it becomes multidisciplinary. There are more choices which are available for the students here. Greater flexibility is there. At high school level, children will be having more exposure to different subjects, and the assessment pattern there is a change in the assessment pattern which is suggested. Instead of going ahead and doing a year after the entire curriculum being taken at the end of the year, there has been other models which are proposed, and it is also highlighting the importance of doing frequent assessments for the students. So here there is a change even at the secondary level. Now, so what is the recommended pedagogy over here? The first thing is that all the 4 stages may also consider moving towards a semester system. One thing which I have noticed while reading the entire policy is that it is not, pronouncing any decision or thirsting down anything. There is always may, can, shall, and these kind of languages there wherever possible. So there's a lot of flexibility which has been offered. At all these 4 stages, the schools can consider to go in for a semester system. So when we are saying semester system, which means that limited course will be asked in one examination. So that is something which will, and that should be more focused on the conceptual ability of the child rather than the rote memorization. So this is one major thing which is being proposed by this education policy. Second thing is, or a system that allows inclusion of shorter modules or courses in order to allow an exposure to more subjects and enable greater flexibility with more frequent formative assessment. Now, when we are saying inclusion of shorter modules, which means that our subjects which we are taking up can be divided into different modules. There are various different kind of subjects which can be introduced for the students inside the school. At all the levels it is possible. So this is what also it is suggesting, that you can have variety of different subjects for the students, short modules which they can do, and emphasis is on formative assessment. And then states may look into innovative methods to achieve these aims of greater flexibility and exposure. And so this will be a matter of state, which means that the states are going to decide that what different kind of subjects can be there, and what are the various range of subjects which can be offered. So it could be more of the local context also. And here it is also talking about vocational subjects, and we'll be discussing a little more in detail about the vocational subjects. Then the classroom transactions have to shift in appropriate subjects wherever competency has to be developed. In fact, I feel that competency has to be developed in all the subjects. Every subject has some of the other competency. So it will be shifting towards competency-based learning. A little about competency-based learning. There is a in detail manual which has been issued by CBSE, which is a handbook for principals, and in that there is one chapter in detail on competency based learning. I would suggest, in case if you have not gone through it, please go through it. It says that if you can divide your learning outcomes or devise your learning outcomes very properly, achieving these learning outcomes could be related to developing the competencies, right? So if we can shift in our subjects from general assessments to competency based assessments, okay, we are going to be assessing competency number 1 today, competency number 2 today. So this kind of a assessment pattern, it could be competency based learning. Then the assessment tools, all the 3 assessment tools have to be used: assessment, as learning, off learning, and for learning, to achieve the learning outcomes. And then of course the experiential learning has to be included in the in the pedagogy. So in this there is a highlight on storytelling based pedagogy, and there has been research which says storytelling is very, very effective when it comes to students understanding something or generating their interest. There will be reduction in curriculum. So the textbooks which are there, they are going to have very, very basic concepts. There will be concepts only. There will be not huge amount of information. There will be basic concepts which will be listed there, and it's then upon the teachers. Now, this is my extension, my opinion. It's not listed in the education policy. That once these concepts are there, the teachers will have flexibility to design their lesson plan according to that, to create their own resources, and then create that environment of experiential learning or curiosity can be generated in the students. So there will be 4 concepts which we are going to be discussed. So curriculum in all the subjects will be reduced to its 4 essentials. Then critical thinking has to be promoted, has to be interactive class, questions from students will be promoted. This is important. Only if we can make it big and tell all the teachers that, look, this is very important, that you have to promote questions from students. And then experiential learning, explorative activities in classroom for experiential learning is something which the teachers have to design for the students. So this is about the change in pedagogy, and so this has to be transformed by 2022 to promote the skill based and minimize rote based learning. And there is one more thing. It says that NCF 2005 is in itself a very beautiful document which suggests good constructive pedagogy that has to be now revisited again. Good elements have to be restored into it, and the things which needs to be changed should be changed. By the end of 2020, NCF has to be revisited and redrafted. Now we come on to secondary school. In secondary school here, students will be given increased flexibility of choices of subjects, including subjects in physical education, the arts, and the vocational craft. So again, my interpretation here is that in case if we have different, so the students sometimes they get interested into various other vocational activities. If we can create short courses of that, if we can hire people, local experts who are good in that particular skill, they can be the ones who can come and conduct the course inside the school, or it could be an online module which the children are taking. All of these things will be included inside the curriculum, and it's the choice of the school. School can offer wide variety of choices to the students. So this is one thing. Then there will be no hard separation amongst curricular, extracurricular, or co-curricular areas, also among arts, humanities, and sciences, or between the vocational and academic streams, which means everything is being now taken at par. And there will be no separations, which means children can make any kind of choices. One example which was often quoted in that was, along with physics, you can take music, So that kind of a thing which even now I think the CBSE of course offers. CBSE never says that there is a hard separation. You can pick and choose any, but it's for the school for their own logistic purposes. It has to be put in the stream wise form. Okay, so this is one thing. Then subjects such as physical education, arts and vocational craft, in addition to science, humanities and mathematics, will be seriously incorporated into the school curriculum with a consideration of what is interesting and safe at each age. So these subjects are going to be included. So these were at the secondary school. Next, and this is the most debated topic in the country as of now, and that's about the languages. So it is talking about multilingualism, and it says that the research in fact says that children, they learn non-trivial in the sense slightly difficult concepts much better in their home language or mother tongue. Okay, now that's for us to see whether we believe that or not, but then this is what the research is saying. And then it also says so that wherever it is possible, now see that language here, wherever possible, the medium of instruction until at least grade 5, but preferably till grade 8 and beyond, will be the home language or mother tongue. Okay, which says that right in the beginning or in the preparatory level, we should be foundational and preparatory level at least, we should teach the children in their mother tongue, and all the subjects which are there should be taught preferably in mother tongue so that they understand the things better. This is the proposal. This is something which the National Education Policy is proposing. Another thing is that there will be, in case where home language textbook material is not available, which to a large extent is not available, these of course will be developed. Then the teachers can use the language of transaction as the home language. So initially it says that the textbooks as well as the medium of instructions should be the home language. But in case if that material is not available, medium of instruction at least should be the home language, so that understanding is better. And then teachers will be encouraged to use bilingual approach, including bilingual teaching learning material. Okay, and this again, it is proposing that the state boards as well as the national board is going to be printing such kind of materials. Now, second important thing it says is that the children pick up languages extremely quickly between the ages of 2 to 8. Again, research says so. And the second thing also by research, that multilingualism has great cognitive benefits to young students. If there are children who know many languages in the later stages also, it becomes very, very useful for them cognitively. Cognitively, you will find that children who have knowledge of more languages, they understand things in a much better manner. So this is what research says. And based on this research, children will be exposed to languages early in the beginning, and in the beginning with the mother tongue. So languages will be taught to the children over here. And then skills will be developed for reading and writing in the other two languages in grade 3 and beyond. So in grade 1 and 2, the basics of the language will be taught. Again, over here, let me clarify what I have understood from this is that in grade 1 and 2, the 3 language formula is persisting. There is no change in the 3 language formula, right? So in grade 1 and 2, as we begin with our 2 languages, we begin with our 2 languages. It also says that for learning a particular language, or to learn a particular subject, it is not important that it should be taught in, that the medium of instruction cannot be the home language. If the medium of instruction is home language, the subject can be learned better. This is one fact which it is saying. And the second thing is that to learn a particular language better, say for example, we say English. In our schools, we say English is compulsory to be spoken, because until and unless you speak English, you will not get fluent over there. So it also talks about that to learn a particular language, it is not necessary that it should be the medium of instruction. So this has been very clearly stated over there. So in class 1 and 2, we can introduce the 2 languages which are there at the basic level, work upon the reading and the writing, basic writing skills of the students. And then in grade 3, the children will be exposed to the other language also. Okay, so the three level, the three language formula which is there, which says that in grade 3 children should be exposed to the other 2 languages, which means that there is a flexibility. Reading the statement over here, the flexibility is that either you introduce just the home language in grade 1 and 2, and then in grade 3 you move on to the 2 language, or otherwise it's your choice, you can move into with 2 languages in grade 1 and 2, and then developing the basic skills of reading and writing, that should happen in the other 2 languages in grade 3. English will be 1 language, and there will be 2 Indian languages from the schedule 8 that has to be taken. And it very clearly says, the policy has listed down that the foreign languages like Chinese, Thai, Spanish, German, Japanese, all of these languages will be introduced at the secondary level, and wide choice of these will be given to the students at the secondary level. Then it also says that as you move on from grade 6, then you have to start teaching bilingually. You can use bilingual material, textbooks and things, but by the time the children reach grade 9, they should be able to express themselves in science and mathematics. They should be able to do it in English also. Specifically, it is saying that by the time children reach grade 9, they should get proficiency in English as well. And in this regard, all efforts will be made to create high quality bilingual textbooks and teaching learning material, right? Now, another thing which it says is Sanskrit will be offered at all levels and at higher education as an enriching option. So again, Sanskrit, like any other language you can choose Sanskrit as well, but that is something which should be offered at all the levels as a very, very enriching option. Okay. Then teaching of the other classical languages. There are classical languages like Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Odia, Pali, Persian and Prakrit. So this may also be widely promoted in the schools, possibly through the online modules. Then there will be a major effort from both central and state government to invest in large number of language teachers in all regional languages. Okay, so which means that there will be a country-wide training programs for language teaching, which will go on, so that we can have more good quality language teachers. And also the states can go in for bilateral agreements so that they can export teachers to each other's state. And see here, as it says, foreign languages, this I have just directly taken from NEP, not my language. Foreign languages such as Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Thai, French, German, Spanish or Russian will also be widely offered at secondary level for students to learn about the cultures of the world and to increase their global knowledge and mobility according to their own interests and aspirations. And again my interpretation, it is not necessary that the children, if they want to learn French, they can't do it in 6, 7, 8. They can do it as an extra choice of subjects. They may take that as an extra piece of learning material for themselves. And that could be in the form of short-term courses which they would like to take up. So this kind of choices the schools should allow is what this policy is saying. And then teaching of languages, it is specifically saying that when you are going in for language teaching, don't make it like a subject. It should be more experiential, and it should be done in the form of theater, poetry, gamification, apps, storytelling, seeing movies, discussion on movies. That kind of a material and that kind of resources should be developed for teaching of languages, so that it becomes more experiential and more communicative in nature. Also, while you're choosing the material for teaching of language, try to choose the rich cultural resource pool which is available. Instead of teaching any hypothetical story or something, take up something where the children will be also connected to their own cultural heritage. By reading that, they will get to know more about India. So it says that uplifting literature from the Indian subcontinent, ancient to modern, and by authors from all walks of life, as well as through other arts such as playing and discussing music or film excerpts like this. So language teaching has to be made more interesting. Also, every student from grade 6 to 8, this is important, this they have highlighted, that they will undergo a fun project. Now this is a fun project, the languages of India. It will not be for assessment, it will be more for gaining knowledge. So they are going to learn about the different languages, and they are going to analyze it for its phonetics, the structure of the alphabets, the similarities between languages, the geographical region from where it is coming, its origin, and so on and so forth. So they are going to be kind of doing some kind of a research on the languages. And this also says Indian Sign Language will be made standardized across the country, so that those people who are hearing impaired, it should be a standard language which should be there. Though it also says that the local sign languages will also be respected, but we will have a very standardized Indian Sign Language, so that is going to be strengthened. Apart from the languages, the skills which have to be focused are these: scientific temper, evidence-based learning, creativity, innovativeness, sense of aesthetics and art, oral and written communication, health and nutrition. Now see, each one of this could be converted into a short course: physical education, wellness, fitness, sports, collaboration, teamwork, problem solving, logical reasoning, digital literacy, coding and computational thinking. This is being taken up in a big way. Then ethical and moral reasoning, knowledge and practice of human and constitutional values. There are 22 constitutional values which are there, so we have to be focusing on this. Gender sensitization, fundamental duties, citizenship, skills and values, knowledge about India and its knowledge systems, environmental awareness, current affairs, critical issues facing the world, and also mathematical thinking for the upcoming fields like artificial intelligence, machine learning and data science. So these are, apart from the languages, we need to be focusing on these basic skills. This has been listed. Another important thing is that introduction of contemporary subjects such as artificial intelligence, design thinking, holistic health, organic living at relevant stages will be undertaken to develop these various important skills in the students at all the levels. So this is another proposal. Then it says that every student has to take up fun year-long course, okay, during grade 6 to 8 that gives a survey and hands-on experience of sampling of important vocational craft. Now let's understand this. What it says is that based on the students' interest, the students can choose any of the vocational art and more which is related to the local context in case if it is available, and they have to do some kind of an internship for that vocational education. So there will be backless days and the children will be doing that. So it's going to be a fun project again for them, just to get exposed to that particular vocation, right? So that is one additional thing it says, which means that skill-based education, the vocational education is getting introduced to the students in grade 6 to 8 in a little serious manner over here. And as it says, there are no hard separations between vocation and academics, right? So we have to be also looking into that. Here, vocational education, till now it was only SUPW and we know how it was. But here it has become a little more serious. Okay, now the next thing is that the textbooks will have the local content and flavor. Local things will be there. NCERT will prepare a curriculum and the guideline and the textbooks. The state governments will prepare their own curriculum based on the national curriculum and their textbooks based on the NCERT textbooks. But that is something which will have a lot of local instances and examples. So the textbooks will be prepared at 2 levels. And then there are reforms in the examinations in grades 9 to 12. In the board exams also. So the board exams here, it says, will be made easier as well as they will be testing the core competencies. So first thing is that it will be made easier. Core concepts will be tested. Secondly, it is suggesting, it will still explore that can this be made semester wise or it can be made a modular exam. Okay, and I think there will be more specifications and guidelines which will come on it. And then the examination also to be conducted into 2 types, like objective type and descriptive type. It is also saying that every subject like mathematics should be offered at 2 different levels. One is standard and the other is advanced. Then teachers will be prepared for this new assessment system by 2022-23. and each school board will ensure equivalence of academic standards in learners' attainment. Now, here is the school accountability, that the learners' attainment is something which the school has to see that all the learners who are there in the school, they are attaining the particular academic standards. And then there will be this national center for the performance assessment, review and analysis of knowledge and holistic development. Okay, this PARAK, that's the full form of PARAK, this will be developed and this will be issuing the guidelines to the school boards about how the assessments and things have to be done. So this will be almost a national body which will be issuing guidelines on assessments, guiding the schools and the state boards on how assessments have to be done. So see, guidelines will be prepared by NCERT in consultation with SCRT's Board of Assessments and PARAK. So these will be the bodies which will work on assessments. Then there will be teachers who will be prepared till 22-23. Then they will be to track the students' progress throughout this school experience, and not just at the end of grade 10 and 12. All the students will take state school examinations in grade 3rd, 5th and 8th, in addition to the board examinations in grades 10 and 12. So it says that there will be board examinations in 10 and 12. The nature of the board examinations are going to differ. Maybe it will change, can be modular or semester wise, but there will be 3, 5 and 8 at these levels examinations will be there, but these examinations will be conducted by the state, by the states. Okay. And then the grade 3 examination in particular would test basic literacy, numeracy and the other foundational skills. So again, the testing which will be there will be on the basic skills. And the results of this state school examination will be used for developmental purposes of the school's education system. The schools have to disclose these results. They'll have to put these results on their website, anonymized, which means that the names of the students won't be there, but the results should be there, because the schools have to be accountable for the students' outcome. Okay, so therefore this is one thing which is there, that at all the 3 levels, class 3, class 5, class 8, as well as the board levels, it should be disclosed. It should be made public. Okay. So coming back to the assessments, the National Assessment Center for the School Education. This is the body which will be set under the Ministry of Education, and the purpose of this body will be to set the norms and guidelines for assessment and evaluation for all the school boards, to do the state achievement survey and to do the national achievement survey. There will be surveys which will be done and timely, intermittently, just to see where have we reached on the learning outcomes. And monitoring the achievement of learning outcomes in the country. It will also advise the school boards regarding the new assessment pattern and the latest researches and collaborations between the school board. So this is the purpose of this National Assessment Center, which is created specifically for school education. And then this is again a very important thing for all of us to know, that how is the undergraduate examinations going to take place. So there will be university entrance exams. There is this body, National Testing Agency body will be there, and I think there will be more guidelines which will be coming on that. The primary knowledge which is coming through the education policy is this, that this particular body, that is National Testing Agency, is going to be conducting the common aptitude test, high quality common aptitude test for undergraduate admissions. It will also conduct the specialized common subject exams test. So the children who want to take the university admissions, undergraduate courses, they will choose which subject test are they going to be taking, and these tests are the one which will test the basic knowledge, application, conceptual knowledge of the students. So the universities then don't have to go ahead and take their individual exams. They can base their admissions based on what scores the children have achieved, what are their portfolios, and what are their subject scores. Okay, and then so this is how the undergraduate examination will be taken with the help of this National Testing Agency, and the exams, 2 different kind of exams which will be conducted by it. Then students, there is another thing, that children who have got special talents, they are going to be recognized and there is special work which will be done for them. First thing is that the teachers will be trained to understand and to identify that if there is a special talent which is there. So it will be doing the first thing, that will identify how are there gifted students, and if there are gifted students, then what kind of resources and material should be provided to them so that they move forward. Then there will be summer programs, residential summer programs, which will be there for secondary school students for various subjects. These children who are gifted, they will be promoted to take up clubs and circles and for the other students so that they get better on their skills. And then there will be Olympiads. Another important thing, Olympiads and the competitions will be arranged for these students at all the levels, which means that basically everybody has to appear for this Olympiad and competition. Again, my interpretation based on what is written there. And then as the children move further, that is district level and then the state level and the national level. So what happens is that your major bodies like IITs and NITs, they will be able to pick and choose students based on the results of these Olympiads and competitions which are there. So that's one. And secondly, online apps and quizzes will also be there for the students so that they can enrich themselves further. So there is a special thing which has been there for the for students with special talents. There will be also fast track movement, academic movement, which is written over there. For children who are gifted, they can move a little quickly in their academics. That's just one phrase which is written, but I think that they'll have to tell a little more about it. And then it also says that all classrooms have to be developed into smart classrooms in a phased manner. Now, teachers, the important thing is high respect for teachers, excellent students to be entering into the program. So for that, what they're doing is they're creating an outstanding 4-year integrated B.Ed program. Okay, that's one of the things. Then in government schools, it says that excessive teacher transfers will be halted. And then there will be teacher eligibility tests which will be strengthened. We have this tests even now, but they will be strengthened with better material. And then important thing is that these TETs will be extended to cover teachers in all the stages, from foundational to preparatory, middle and secondary stage. All of them will be taking the TETs. Okay, and then there will be suitable TET or NTA test scores in the corresponding subjects will be taken into account for recruitment. Now, once the schools are going in for recruiting the teachers, what are the things which they can do? They can see what is the TET score of the teachers. NTA scores are when the teachers are going in, it's the entrance for the B.Ed course. So there is a test which will be conducted by NTA. And that is to enter them into the B.Ed program. So those scores as well as the TET scores plus their demonstration in that particular subject and the interview. All of this put together should be used to recruit the students and also, recruit the teachers. And also it says that teachers who are aware about the local language, that is something which should be considered more preferable. Which means apart from the language which they have to teach, if they are also aware of the local language, that will be an additional benefit. Then it also says that we can go in for sharing of teachers for some subjects where we don't need them permanently for short time, or where there is inadequate supply of teachers. Then there will be complexes which will be formed, and these complexes will be sharing the resources. So some of the teachers can be shared as well. Then there will be special instructors, specifically the vocational teachers. You can choose these teachers from the local area, people who are good in pottery, carpentry, all these vocational teachers, experts who are there in that field. And they can do a very short-term teacher training course, and they can be hired as specialized instructors. Okay, so this is another teacher thing which says. Another thing is that there will be short-term contracts of teachers will now not exist. They will be phased out. Like we hire teachers on contract basis, it will be phased out. Now, this is for government schools or private schools. That's something which is not specified. And also it says for government schools that the teachers will not be engaged into the election work or cooking of midday meals and all that. They will be only focusing on the teaching learning tasks. Now, that's a huge um, proposal for the government school teachers. And then, another important thing is the teachers will have more autonomy to decide upon what kind of pedagogy they would like to take up. What is that something which is most suitable for the students? So there will be that autonomy which will be provided to the teachers. Now the teacher education will be of this kind. Students who are directly entering into the undergraduate course, so they can take up the 4-year integrated B.Ed program. And in this, they will be studying about various subjects. They will be studying about teaching and learning. And so this will be by 2030, it says minimum degree qualification for teaching. That includes student teaching at local schools by 2030. 4-year integrated program will become compulsory. But for those people who have done graduation and specialized in one particular subject, they can take up a 2-year program. And for those who have done their masters, and then they are the ones who can take a 1-year program. So at these 3 levels, the B.Ed program will be offered. And teacher education will gradually be moving by 2030 to multidisciplinary colleges and universities. All those standalone teacher education institutions which are existing now will be phased out, and all of them, in fact, all the B.Ed courses will be run through the multidisciplinary universities only. So that's the proposal, and that will be obtained by 2030. There is this National Higher Education Regulatory Council will be the single point regulator for higher education sector, which includes teacher education also. Okay, so that's an additional point over here. One more important point is that there will be a national mission for mentoring with large pool of outstanding senior and retired faculty. What it is saying is that all those people who are very experienced academicians, they are retired, they are experts in their area, they are the ones who will be forming the mentoring, they will be a part of the mentoring mission. So that will also be set up. This is also important for all of us to know that how is the CPD program going to run for the schools. It says 50 hours of CPD is compulsory for everybody, whether it is the school teacher or it is the school leader. Okay, 50 hours of CPD program is compulsory, but there is flexibility on the part of the school leader and the teacher that what kind of a program which they would like to enroll into. Okay, which means that the flexibility is to design their own development path. So as a teacher, if I analyze myself, I would be able to see that, okay, I think I lack in this skill, this skill, this skill. Let me take up this particular course. So, so this way the teachers will be able to design their own development plan. And then there will be online platforms also which will be available for the teachers where they can share their ideas and best practices. They are also talking about a lot of online modules for teachers which they can undergo, and that will be counted as a part of their CPD. Okay, and what is that which the teachers should focus on? They have to focus on the foundation literacy and numeracy courses, formative and adaptive assessments, competency-based learning, experiential learning, arts integrated, sports integrated, story-based, storytelling-based approaches. So if you get courses based on these, they are the ones which you can get yourself trained into, because pedagogy is what they have to focus largely upon. And it's the same model for the school leaders, 50 hours of CPD, but the core content will be on leadership and management, on pedagogy leadership, and it will be based on how to implement the pedagogical plan based on the competency and outcome-based education. So this is about the CPD program, 50 hours compulsory every year for teachers as well as school leaders. And the career management and promotion here, it says very nicely, and again this is my understanding, that at the foundational level, preparatory, middle and senior, there is no promotion as such in terms of salary, which means that at all levels the salary is going to be the same. Because otherwise till now there have been differences in the salary at each level. And when we talk about promotion is when the teacher becomes TGT to PGT or so on, right? But this kind of a promotion will not be seen. The promotion will be in terms of it will be merit based. How the teacher is performing, what kind of professional development is there, what kind of results are there. Based upon how the teacher is performing, there will be promotions which will be done, right? So this is about, so everybody in the same foundation, in the same stage, they will be promoted, okay? And there will be no salary differences. As I said, this is my understanding, what I have understood from here. And then there will be multiple parameters of assessment. And then there will be vertical mobility also of the teachers. The vertical mobility is, of course, based on the teachers' choices if they want to vertically move. Along with that, mobility of the teachers on the leadership positions. So if there are some people who are exemplary in their leadership skills and administrative skills, they will be considered for promotion. And again, they have to undergo training programs related to that. So there will be there is vertical mobility also which is available. And then another important thing, that this was not existing in our Indian system, it was existing outside, but now it has been introduced that by 2022, NCERT is going to devise the national professional standards for teachers. In fact, for in the other countries, there is national professional standards for leadership as well. So right now they are proposing for teachers, and then to have requisite numbers of special educators, because special educators are less with us. What it says is that our regular teachers will be able to do certificate courses in special education so that they are able to cater to the children with special needs. So this is, and this is again something which will be offered by multidisciplinary universities. They can do it as a pre-service course, or they can do it while they are in service. So regular teachers also can take up special education courses. Then it says that the school complexes and clusters will be created where they can share their resources. They can share teachers, share different infrastructure and resources, pair up and all that. I think everybody knows. The hub of schools is something which you are already aware of. It is on those lines only. Then there will be an accreditation body which will be set up. We are all aware of the SCOF. This will be developed further by SCERT and NCERT. There will be accreditation standards which will be laid down. And this body which is there, that State School Standards Authority, that is going to be seeing whether how well the school is being run. Okay, so so there will be this accreditation body which will take into account the quality, monitor the quality of the schools. And then this organization, which is PARAK, as I said, it is Performance Assessment Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. This organization is going to guide I mean, it is going to develop the norms, standards and guidelines for assessment and evaluation. It will also guide the State Achievement Survey and the National Achievement Survey, and it will monitor the learning outcomes of the students. So now that if we do not get good results in PISA, I think it's PARAK who has to be held accountable. Then timeline for the implementation of ECE is that by, now this is how it says, that class 9th, whatever changes are there, though I did not find this, let me tell you, I did not find this particular thing in the National Education Policy. It is not listed anywhere, but because it was there in the infographic, so I have included this one, considering that this is authentic. That early childhood education and the implementation of the new curriculum and assessment, phase 1 of early childhood education, that is the 3-month preparatory module, will be prepared by 2021-22. And then 1 year of pre-primary school through primary schools and Anganwadis in the phase 2 will be done by 23-24. Class 9, new curriculum and assessment by 21-22, and then it will keep moving further. And by, so for class 12, it will come by 24-25. Okay, so that's how it is. So new board exam pattern for class 10th will be introduced in 22-23, and for class 12 will be introduced in 24-25. That's the proposal. The Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog will be developed. If they are finishing off the Central Advisory Board of Education, this will be replaced by Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog, and this is going to be the apex advisory body for all the elementary and university education. Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog, that's one. Second, This will be chaired by the Minister of Education. There will be 30 people in this, and 2/3 of this population will be eminent educationists, researchers, and leading professionals from various fields. So that's a good thing. At least the educationists are going to be the ones who are a part of the apex body, which is guiding elementary and university education. So I'm happy about it. Then it also says, there are some really revolutionary ideas which have been put here, that there will be a permanent secretariat of Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog, which will be there. Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog will have its permanent secretariat, and they are also introducing another cadre of IAS services, which is Indian Education Service. Yes, Permanent Indian Education Service. So this is one thing which has been introduced. So which means that there will be now in bureaucracy professionals which will be there qualified for who are a part of IES, and they are the ones who will be appointed as the registrars of the universities. So this is some of the major change. Already Ministry of Education has been formed. Like there is Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog at the national level, there will be Rajya Shiksha Ayog at the state level. So let me tell you how the structure is going to look like. There is Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog, which is headed by or chaired by the Minister of Education. 30 members in this, 2/3 are educationists. There is Indian Education Service, which has been introduced, and there will be proper bureaucrats who are there, and they are the ones who are going to be the registrars of various multidisciplinary universities which are going to be formed. And finally, this last statistics, and it's about financing. If you see the current public expenditure on education in India has hovered around 4.43% of GDP. Okay. Which means that there is right now it's only 4.43% which is being spent in education. However, and there is total 10% of the government spending which is towards the education. This is the current status, and this is much less than that of the developing countries. So what it is suggesting now is that it should reach up to 6%, and total 20% of the public expenditure has to be there for education in the next 10 years. And it also says that 2% of this, the total budget on higher education, has to be kept for research and innovation. So in fact, I'm not covering higher education here, but if you see the higher education, there are revolutionary things which have been put up there. I mean, I have to say that yes, this education policy is very idealistic in nature. It talks about and says everything which should be there. How much will be possible? How much will be there at the grassroots level? That's again a big question. But then some of the things which it has listed down are really very welcoming. Okay, and so from my side, I have now given all the information, and it's now open for question and answers. I'm so sorry for an absolute monologue. This was all information giving. But now, okay, we can interact. And please, a disclaimer again over here, whatever I have told you is from the policy, and certain things probably is from my understanding. So you have to, discern and see what to take, what not to take. It was just to bring you close to the education policy.